Welcome back to another episode of the Succeed Against the Odds show. Today, as my guest, I have here Amber Griffiths. Welcome, Amber, to this show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
I am very excited to have you here as a guest today because you have an expertise in a field that is, I think, probably one of the most misunderstood by a lot of people who are in business. Tell us what you do and what your area of expertise is.
Okay. Like you said, I am in branding, and it is it really is severely misunderstood. People think that if they have a logo, they have a brand, or if they have a business card and a logo, that they have a brand. And really, your brand is everything you do and everything you say to create and nurture and build a relationship with your ideal client. So it's everything. It's how you introduce yourself at a networking meeting. It's how you post things on social media, everything printed, everything virtual. It's how you build and maintain that healthy relationship with your ideal client. So the good and bad news is that whether you think you have a brand or not, you do, because you're communicating with your ideal client somehow. And so it just depends on how clear it is, how cohesive it is, and how well your brand is converting potential customers into your ideal client.
And what inspired you to get into this field?
I love the idea of branding because it is that healthy relationship. I started as a graphic designer because I was good at it and I could do it from home, and I thought this would be great. And what I was seeing is a lot of design work out there that wasn't being effective. It was very beautiful. There were, especially I'm in Utah, and there were a lot of people who were scrapbooking and calling themselves graphic designers, which again meant that it was very beautiful and very attractive, but it wasn't actually calling people to action. It wasn't building that healthy relationship. It wasn't being consistent and cohesive with the rest of it. And so I love entrepreneurs, and I love the fact that they found something that they were really good at doing and then found a way to make money doing it. But chances are it wasn't in branding or marketing. That chances are that's not their genius. And so rather than having a really healthy strategy to create that relationship, they just kind of fling things at the wall. They come, whatever comes along, if they can afford it, they jump on it. And without a little bit of that support, they can really flounder, and they can lose their business, and it can take them years to be successful, or they may just quit altogether. And so with branding, we start from scratch, and we make sure that that relationship is super healthy, and the visual version is beautiful and cohesive, and it just makes people more money and brings them more joy in their business. And I'm all about that.
So what would you say
Mm-hmm.
would be the biggest mistake a lot of businesses that don't quite grasp the meaning of what branding is? What is the biggest mistake that you see out there?
One of the most common ones, and that can be really the most dangerous and most expensive mistakes to make, is not clearly identifying your ideal client. And it's one of those, it's my favorite thing to talk about and teach about. I have a soapbox I get on about it. You meet a lot of companies, and whether they've been in business for 2 days or 20 years, you still have businesses that want to serve everyone. And it's entirely possible that whatever their little widget is or whatever their service is really can help a lot of people. When it comes to your brand, you've got to identify your ideal client, because again, your brand is that relationship between you and your ideal client. And your ideal client doesn't respond well to, current resident or postal customer or, hey, anybody out there. Nobody responds well to that. And so I tell people, you can't be everything to everybody. You will end up being nothing to anyone. So you must be somebody amazing to someone. And the more specific you are about who you can actually serve really well, the more specific you can be about who your ideal client is, the easier your marketing will be to create. I hear people all the time, I don't know what to say. How do I create this email, this email blast? I don't know what to say to them. Well, if you're talking to a specific person, that message gets really easy to create. The words you use come more easily. It's just easier to craft everything. And not only that, but then it becomes way more profitable for you, because your ideal client is going to start self-identifying with proper marketing. and they're going to be magnetized to you, which makes your world even that much easier because you don't have to go out searching for your ideal client. They'll actually meet you halfway, if not even closer, because they see you for who you are and they will self-identify and say, yep, that's me. I'm in. That's exactly what I've been looking for. You're exactly what I've been watching for.
It is communication.
Absolutely.
Right? It's the
Absolutely.
way we're communicating, like you're saying, like if you know who your client is, who you want that client to be for you, then you start speaking the way they need to hear it because you
Exactly.
understand them, right?
Right. You start using the words that make sense to them. It's not so much about what you need to say, it's what they need to be hearing.
Hmm.
And
And
so
the
you
whole,
use the different words.
yeah, and the whole principle of the idea of finding your ideal client. I mean, there are a lot of entrepreneurs that talk about it, but I
Mhm.
personally feel that there are a lot of people that still don't understand what that really means. Like they create this avatar of who they think their ideal client, or who they dream their ideal client
Yeah,
responded to,
yeah.
but that may not be even aligned with what they provide.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I worked with a client recently actually who I said, "Who's your ideal client?" And she was very clear. She said, "These are the people that I work with the most." I thought, okay, well, that's not quite what I asked, but that's who her inbox was full of. But after we walked through the process of actually asking the right questions and figuring out who her service and product was best meant for and who she really loved working with, she has completely changed that. And she's gone from offering about $200 packages to now her average package is $1,200. And she's working about a third of the time because she's working with exactly who she wants to work with, not just somebody who shows up and can use her product. It has completely revolutionized her business just in the last 8 months. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing.
I mean, not to mention the fact that, again, she's got people on her phone and in her email box that she loves, not the crazy people that are desperate or that the ones that are harder to work with that want it yesterday. These are her ideal clients, and she's having way more fun in her business.
So, what would you say for someone who's listening to our conversation right now and says, "Okay, that sounds wonderful, but what could I do right now? Like, what could the listeners do right now that they could improve, or at least analyze and look at what they may be doing wrong or what they may be doing right?"
With their brand. There's a couple of different things I would recommend. First, I would tell you to rediscover your voice. It's the first key in creating your rockstar brand. And by that, I mean rediscover, reconnect with why you started your business in the first place. If you've been in business longer than 6 months, you've probably lost sight of this. You get caught up in what the market's doing, what you think your competitors should be doing, what you thought you were going to be doing. Get back in touch with what really makes you happy, what brings you the most joy and the most money. Get back in touch with what your core values are. Chances are, if you are struggling in your business, if you are working with people that don't bring you joy and money, there's probably a disconnect with your core value. Somewhere along the line, you have made a compromise, and it's something that you thought you held dear forever and would never compromise. Suddenly, you've twisted it just a little bit. So go back through, and if you do see a disconnect, then find your clients that aren't meeting those needs and let them go. And I know that's hard, especially if you're a startup, especially if you're struggling with day to day. But I will tell you right now that if you start working with the clients that are completely in alignment with your core values, more of them will show up. You will have more money, you will have more joy, you will have more time. If you let go of those few clients that just aren't quite perfectly suited for you.
Good advice. Very good tip.
It's easier said than done, but I
Yeah,
tell you the rewards are fabulous.
yeah.
The other thing I could tell you is to make sure your brand is cohesive. This one might be easier. Put everything out on the table that you have created, your business card, a brochure, print out your homepage of your website, your last few social media posts, and make sure they are all cohesive. Make sure they have a clear call to action. Make sure that they all look like they came from you and are directed towards your ideal client, and tweak the ones that don't fit in. Make sure they all are telling the same story.
Yeah, that's an easy one to do. To
Yep,
be
you could do
fair.
that right now.
Right. Yeah, that's a good place to start because,
Yeah,
if things are not, if everything is different, then it kind of shows a bit of chaos. right?
Absolutely.
It's hard to understand what you do when everything is different. People don't
Yeah.
associate one thing with the other. When they see it, they may not even
Yeah.
connect it with you.
Exactly. They may be getting 7 different touches from you,
Hmm.
which is what it requires, to be top of mind. But if they're not building momentum, then it's like running by them, poking them with a stick, saying, "Hey, do you want to buy now? Do you want to buy now?" You're
Hmm.
not actually building a relationship. You're just kind of knocking at the door a lot.
Hmm. Now, I know you're the expert in the branding, but we all make mistakes in our own field. So I'm just wondering, have you ever made a branding mistake? Like, was there a lesson that something you did
Oh my
that
goodness.
you learned from and you're willing to share so that we can benefit from your lesson?
Yes. Sure, absolutely. Honestly, you should learn from my mistakes. That's absolutely what this is all about. So, I had just started my business, and I had been branding people in the corporate world for a decade. So I thought, I got this. I know how to do this. I know how to build a brand. I know how to build a company. An opportunity came along to put an advertisement in a magazine, and my only thought was, well, can I afford it? Yes. Okay, then here it goes. I didn't once ask, is my ideal client on the other end of it? I didn't once ask, what do I want my ideal client to do if they happen upon it? So it's a very beautiful ad, but it's one of those that I talked about at the first, where it was really pretty and it did nothing, absolutely nothing. It's been 10 years. I'm still waiting for a phone call from that advertisement. I look back at it, there's no call to action. My colors were on there, but there's nothing on there that would attract my ideal client. And that $1,200 mistake will follow me forever, but it's definitely something that I've learned that I will always hold dear.
Yeah, and you'll never
Where
make that mistake again.
I will
Now you
never
ask
make,
yourself.
I will never make, absolutely, can I afford it is a critical question. But the other question has to be, is my ideal client on the other end of it? And what do I want them to do when they see this? And it was, oh my goodness. Yes, please don't do what I did.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of us have made, like I said, we all make mistakes in our own field too, but
Yeah.
it's good to share because it shows we're human.
Yes,
We
yes.
make mistakes, but we have to learn from them and move on. And now, because of your mistake, you make sure that your clients don't make the same mistake either.
Absolutely.
So it's all good.
Absolutely. It's ask yourself to what end. I have people, I want to start a podcast. Well, why? I want to put a magazine out. Why? I need to redo my website. Why? Just ask yourself why. It's amazing the power of why.
Yes. Like, what is the purpose? What is the
Yeah,
end goal for the whole?
exactly.
Yeah. Now you have a program called Sound Check. Can you share about that?
Absolutely. The sound check is a really nice starting place when you are trying to figure out how to create a brand or how to revamp your brand. Like I said, if something's difficult in your marketing in your business, chances are there's just a disconnect somewhere along the line. And so a way to get your feet wet and get a lot of good help and information without a whole lot of expense or investment in your time even is the branding sound check. And we essentially audit your entire brand. We look at everything you created and everything you do and make sure that it's clear and cohesive and will actually convert potential customers into ideal clients. So we find the holes in it. We suggest fixes and how to just adjust a little bit. Sometimes it's just little tweaks can make a huge difference. We worked with a guy who was doing a postcard and kept sending it out to the same list and getting about a 1.5% response. We changed some of the words and changed an image. So I mean, it was a 10-minute check, and he's now getting about 6.5 to 7% return, which
Wow.
is a $50,000 to $60,000 return for him different. And all we did is change some words. So with the branding sound check, that's the kind of thing we look for. We find the inconsistencies, we suggest how to remedy it, and it's a nice way to just have an outside professional perspective on your brand.
And you said the right words, have an outside perspective, because
Yep.
sometimes in our businesses, we're so stuck to seeing things one way and we don't feel that someone else could have a better perception or better insights, especially when it's coming from professionals and
Yes.
experts in that area. I'll confess, I've been in that situation where I felt that I knew better. I've been stubborn many times. It's like, no, it's this way because I understand it this way, and then I was wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
I will admit it. Yes.
A fresh set of eyes is good. A fresh set of
Yeah.
eyes is always helpful. And then you can decide, I really, really like that piece. I'm not going to change that. Okay.
But also having that second set of eyes helps, when you're looking at, when someone looks at it from a different perspective, they can see things that we don't see.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And as an expert, I'm sure once you point it out, then your clients go, wow, I didn't think about that, or
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Well, and I think especially with entrepreneurs, they collect their brand. And it's not so much of a creative thing. And so it comes along as it's needed, as it can be afforded. Each piece comes on separately.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was created 2 years ago may not mesh with what you're doing right now, but you're still using it. It's an old PDF download freebie, or it's an old, format, or an old email signature or something like that, that you've just had forever, but it just hasn't quite kept up with all of your new stuff. So little things like that you don't even think about.
Yeah, it can make you look outdated.
Absolutely.
Right? It can make
Absolutely.
you look like you're not staying up with the times. And it's not
Yeah.
that you're not staying up with the times, it's because
Yeah.
you're really busy, but you got to pay attention.
Yeah, you just left a little piece behind. One of the things that I use is called a brand soundtrack, and that is a collection of everything you do. It's your vision statement, your mission, a sample of every single piece of marketing. And so when you do make an adjustment, when you do change something, you have a list right there that says, "Hey, make sure all 20 pieces get updated and nothing left behind."
That sounds like another amazing program you have. You
It's
have
a
so many
fabulous
programs.
tool.
And you have one of the program, which is a 6-week course called Create Your Rockstar Brand.
Yes, that one is actually a self-guided course. And so it's audio files and a workbook, but it takes you through that entire process. Because it's self-guided, you can make it in 5 or 6 days if you really are dedicated and have the week. But it takes you through the steps of rediscovering your voice and reconnecting with your fans and getting some pips, your marketing collateral. What does it all look like? And then you get a chance to kind of explore some alternatives. What haven't you thought of for your business yet? And then you relaunch. You make sure everything is clear and cohesive, and it's amazing. But it walks you through that entire process.
Wow, it sounds great. So is this like a lifetime access to the program once they sign up for it?
It is. In fact, what happens is you can download all those files, or I can even ship them to you. It's a beautiful, beautiful package that you get to have in your mail. It's like Christmas, no matter when you order it.
Of course.
It shows up in your mail. It shows up and it's gorgeous. And so then you always have access to that. And the other part of that comes with that particular course is some one-on-one coaching with me. And so if you get stuck, you don't have to stay stuck. And if something doesn't quite resonate, doesn't quite make sense, then we have an opportunity to have a conversation about it.
Beautiful. So if our listeners want to know more about your programs and they want to get in touch with you, what is the best way to reach you?
The best way to start is to go to my website, which is yourbrandbydesign.com. And on there, you can go through all the programs and see what might reach out to you. But the best thing would be to go to the Discovery Duet, which is that opportunity to talk to me one-on-one and have all your questions answered, figure out if I have a solution that might support you, then we can talk about that. Otherwise, it's just an opportunity to kind of, again, get that outside perspective. So it's Your Brand by Design, and you can just /Discovery Duet.
Excellent. Thank you. So is there anything else you would like to share with us before we go?
It's been really thorough. I've got to say all my words. It makes me I think the best thing to do is really have somebody else take a look at it, whether that's the sound check with me or just put all your stuff out on the table and take an outside, try to step back a little bit from it. And even if you're really attached to some piece of marketing collateral, some piece of your brand, if it's no longer serving you, either adjust it so that it is or get rid of it. Let it go.
Great advice from the expert in branding. Thank you so much, Amber, for sharing all the tips that you did and for sharing your painful lesson. I know you're on the spot there, but It is helpful to all of us to hear these things. So
thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
thank you so much. And well, hopefully we'll reconnect sometime soon.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Are you ready to transform your business and experience multifaceted growth? Whether you've had your business for a while or you're considering starting one, this conference is for you. Top-notch speakers, trainers, and workshops that will discuss strategies that move you and your business forward, regardless of where you are in your business. Ignite that one thing that will change everything.